Well, first of all, let me make it clear, I did not invite the media to this, to do this engagement. Nevertheless, you're here. So I've been meeting with several groups of people to inform them of our position on the no confidence motion and the preparation for elections. And so you in the media, you would have probably heard already some of our public positions on these two matters. But I made it clear to the international community that after March 19th, that we in the parliamentary opposition, we will treat the government, if elections are not held by that date, as illegitimate, unconstitutional, and that no act that they engage in internationally or locally would be recognized. And this will have major implications for Guyana, for investors, and for all concerned. So we have also urged I have also urged the diplomatic community to be involved in the process of free and fair elections, through various organizations that they have supported in the past. I expressed the desire of the People's Progressive Party to see a massive observer group from all the agencies that traditionally observe elections in Ghana, from CARICOM, the European Union, OAS, UNOSUR, Carter Center, Commonwealth, etc. So basically this was it. And then I also made it clear to them that we are very concerned about the shenanigans that seem to be brewing behind this government's statement that they are exploring options, legal and other options, that having accepted the results clearly, I recall the press conference of the Prime Minister saying the government has fallen, election in 90 days, the motion has been passed. To now, and the President's statement also conveyed acceptance of that process, that now the government seems to be so desperate that it wants to reverse that view. And so I said to them, we will not accept that in the People's Progressive Party, and that obviously there will be instability in the country if this were to happen. I also said that we will not accept a judicial coup. We will not accept a judicial coup also.
Have you raised
You didn't answer my question. Who and who did you meet with today? I did see somebody from the US Embassy.
Yeah, well, the US, Canadian, British, and the European Union.
Have you raised the non-resignation of the government with them? And have you gotten any commitments to some of the issues like observership and all of that?
I did not seek commitment from the international representation, the representatives here. I just convened a meeting to brief them as to our position on this matter and to urge them. I express concern that the government has not resigned as yet, having made it so clear that, because the Constitution is so explicit. And so when they say the cabinet is meeting, but what cabinet? Because the cabinet should have, and including the president under Article 1066, should have resigned by now. And they should only have caretaker responsibility. And I've made it clear that the People's Progressive Party will not go back to the National Assembly excepting for the purpose, any purpose relating to the conduct of elections.
And what was their
No other business.
So you're
what
saying
was
that
their
the-
reaction to your concerns that you raised? Did they say anything?
I don't like to quote the other
No,
side.
but
Maybe
in-
you
in
can
a gist.
ask them. I thought the briefing went well.
So sir, are you saying that your party will not return to National Assembly at all unless it's issues related to elections?
But the parliament can't go on as though nothing happened. The government felt this was certified by the speaker, who is the head of the legislature. He announced it in unambiguous terms that the motion of no confidence was successful. The clerk certified that and notified me. The clerk said he is now doing a review of that. As far as the three branches of the government are concerned, the legislative branch has made a decision that has to be respected. The consequence of that decision, the passage of the no confidence motion, is that the government should resign. The government has fallen. You cannot then return to the National Assembly as though nothing happened to pass routine bills and to carry on with the other functions of the government. You now are there in a caretaker responsibility. Article 1067 says you now have to have elections within 3 months. So I can envisage a need to convene the parliament for the purpose either of passing laws relating to elections, if GCOM needs those laws for the fair conduct of elections, or alternatively, should there be an agreement to shift the timeline from 3 months maybe to 3.5 months. So only for those purposes the parliament should be convened, not for any routine purpose.
There's a
And
sit-in next week, so is that illegal?
that would be an illegal sitting as far as we're concerned. Any business, anything passed in that period, in this kind of situation, if the government were to persist with it, then that will not be recognized. We will not recognize anything that they pursue or do in the parliament, except in those related to the conduct of elections.
Is the PDP planning to go next week Thursday?
No,
We're not going.
we're not going to go.
And let's say, for example, the government.
Unless we have a discussion with the government before that, and we set out the parameters, and that what we'll be discussing in Parliament, and those parameters, as I said before, must be confined to the holding of elections within the constitutionally imposed deadline.
So you would not accept a proposal for an extended date?
The discussion will have to focus on those issues. So I don't want to be categorical on those issues at this point in time. But if we do have that discussion, and this is why they're so duplicitous, I urged a meeting with the president. The president accepted the meeting. They accepted the results of the no confidence motion. They said we should go to elections three months from now. President left for medical treatment abroad. We're not going to rush that. We have accepted we will await his return for that meeting. They could have met with us even before his return and briefed him. But if the president wants to meet, we'll await the return. So, simultaneously, rather than calming the country, they are now using this waiting period to explore legal options and etc. and other options of reversing what was done, which is irreversible. No confidence motion has been passed and it's been certified. And that is what they are using this period for. So they're breaching the trust and the goodwill I was hoping that could have been developed in this period. So we'd have a good meeting when the president returns.
So we do in the past, both your party and the coalition have had some concerns about the voters list and whether there should be house-to-house registration. This was long before no confidence. Can we expect that to happen within 3 months, or are you comfortable with the list as is to move into elections in 3 months?
We use this list for local government elections. And so as flawed as the list is, we had a fairly decent local government elections. Now you do have a few people, like persons who have died, who might be on the list. But we had recommended a process, a simple process, that you can clean those names out without having to go to house registration again at this point in time. For example, GCOM writes to the GRO and says to them, could you give us a list of all the people who have expired since the last house-to-house registration, 2008? They then make that list available to the political parties. They publish the names in the newspapers. Once there is no objection, then and you have 2 weeks, the passage of 2 weeks, then they can proceed to take those names off the list. Then you can get all the people who have passed away off the list without it costing much money, and just having the parties involved, because they will then scrutinize the list to see, they have always complaints, the man may not be dead or something like that. So they don't have excuses. Simple ways of dealing with this. But clearly, there has to be a bigger role for the international community at this time because of the timeline. And are we still very concerned about the health of the chairman of GCOM and how that will impact the preparations for elections. Okay, thank you.
Excellent, sir.
Your whole camp
for the better, and their lives will not be cut short by the brutal acts commonplace during the Jack Day regime. The youth of Guyana supports the orderly development of Guyana and are aware of the sufferings under the PPP. We wish to reassure all Guyanese that this is an opportunity for us to take stock and to prepare for the total involvement of our people in the process of ensuring that Guyana does not fall back into the hands of the Jagbeo criminal PPP cabal. The leader of the PNCR and the president of the Cooperative Republic of Guyana, His Excellency David Archer Granger, said, we will operate based on the Constitution. We will not allow this treacherous, heinous, and vindictive act of betrayal which seeks to disrupt the orderly development of Guyana to succeed. We will pursue all options open to us to ensure that our development continues. We wish to assure all Guyanese that the destiny of this nation in the capable hands of the AP and the AFC is safe. I thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Norton. Ladies and gentlemen, media, you have already prepared the statement. The floor is now open for questions. Please use the microphone that is available to you and identify yourself and the media house you represent.
I haven't got the microphone.
Neil Marks, followed by Dennis Brown.
Good afternoon, Neil Marks, I work with the newsroom. Mr. Norton, could you first confirm what is your position right
I'm
now?
not getting you clear.
Could you confirm what is your position right now with the PNC, apart from being former General Secretary? And can I ask...
Sorry,
I'm a Central Executive Member of the
right,
PNC.
let me. Question, you get any questions for us on the statement?
Right.
Anything else?
Could I ask where are your leaders to give this statement this afternoon?
What?
Where are the leaders of this party this afternoon? Why are you giving this
You're
statement?
assuming that a party is like Jack, they're a one-man show. It isn't. The PNC has a plethora of leaders, and the party has decided that this group of leaders will deal with the press statement, which we did, and I think we can do it competently. We're not averse to the one-man show that is Jack Dale.
Mr. Norton, then Shabal Circle, do you have any incontrovertible evidence of bribery that you believe can stand up in a court of law to support the allegation? And secondly, at this stage, does the PNCR, which is the major party in the broader coalition, believe that the government should resign?
Now, first of all, the PNCR is clear that it has to look at all the legal options and decide its way forward. The leader of the PNCR has made it clear that we will operate in the Constitution. And once that complete assessment is done, we will see exactly where we stand on the issue. As it relates to resigning, if you read the Constitution, I don't know, the Constitution made provisions for the government to be there for the period leading up to the elections. So when Jack Beer talks about resigning, he's really hoping that he can put people in a panic mode. Look, I'm clear, the party is clear. What Jack Beer is seeking to do is to ensure that the government doesn't exist so that the illegalities they committed will not be dealt with. Like we said in the statement, it wouldn't work.
You haven't answered the first question, Mr. Norton.
What is the specific question?
What incontrovertible evidence you have that there was bribery? And incontrovertible can stand up in the court of law.
All I would say to you on this issue, we have done our groundwork. The police is the people who will have to do the actual investigation. And even if we have the incontrovertible evidence, why would we tell you so that they can prepare?
I'm not asking you for it. I'm asking whether you believe that evidence you have can stand up in the court of law.
We do believe that what has occurred, once provided, will stand up.
Has this been provided to the police?
That I can't say at this stage.
Will it be?
I would assume so,
By the party?
but I can't say that either. The police also is obligated to do its work.
Yes?
Shanti Samuels from NCN. Shanti Samuels from NCN. On the issue of the no confidence motion, do you, in your opinion, believe that the issue of the no confidence motion was properly handled by the government? Because there are some persons who are claiming that the government might have, they have told them that someone within the party would have betrayed them, but they paid no attention to that.
Now, there was always rumors that people will betray. But let me ask you something. If you look at the budget debates, and you listen to what Charandas said about the sugar industry and about the PPP, would you have believed that he will betray? One of the things about betrayal is that it has to be cloaked in deceit, and he has mastered that.
Abina Rockford Culture News. Continuing on your point about betrayal, in your statement you noted that you even gave a direction as to where the funding could have came from for Mr. Jackie to give Mr. Prasad. Knowing this now, even with him being able to cloak his betrayal, why didn't the party beforehand follow up these leads that you had so as to avoid?
I wouldn't say that the party didn't follow up the leads, because people who were there and know that all the members of parliament were spoken to, and they were reassured that they were voting against the motion. If you look at what is emerging, what Chandra's nearly call him Cross, but let me check his name to ensure I have it correct. What the betrayal did was essentially cover his tracks. And it is very difficult, even though you talk with people, they reassure you, it is very difficult to decipher what they will do. Of course, there are people who observe that he was very anxious and uneasy, but is that enough to just change direction?
Oh, so beforehand, you didn't have enough information to work with?
I would put it this way. We did have information that suggested what was happening, but you were operating in a coalition in which the AFC said that the supporters were with us, they themselves were shot. And so I cannot say to you that anyone would have been able to decipher that this was the person who will do it, but it happened.
Okay, now are you in a better position to, do you have more information now than you had before the vote was taken?
But as obvious, he himself gave all the information in the press, said he's planning it a long time, among other things, so we have more information.
I'm Gordon French Cultural News. When did the party become aware that a bribe was paid, or a bribe was proposed or made?
You live in Guyana. From the time the idea of the no confidence motion was put, there was always going around that somebody is going to be bribed. You saw that. It's always difficult if, how does a political party go and accuse somebody? But now that you have the evidence, it's a different issue.
So you only became aware that Mr. Prasad would take a bribe after the vote?
There were a number of persons whose names were being called, but we cannot say we were aware it was X or Y.
Okay. Is the party preparing for elections in March of
The
next year?
People's National Congress reform has always been in election mode. We might accentuate it.
Gordon Mosley, News Source. Sir, the PNC has as its head retired former brigadier, two other brigadiers, Commodore, and a police commissioner. How did the party miss all the warning signs? Where was the party's intelligence with regard to this bribing and with regard to all of this that's happening?
Like I said to you, obviously there was information, people knew that something was afoot. But to say this was the individual, some people argue that there were some signs that we missed. For instance, I don't know how true it is, he sold his car, he was doing a number of things. From that standpoint, I think we could have been more, put things under much more scrutiny. But you know, when you want to operate in a democratic society, you have to be very careful how you accuse people, as you might be accused of being a state that isn't democratic.
Do you think there are others who, sorry, before you do this, the young man
John Ryan, Evening News. You spoke of options that the government is considering. Can you expound on what those options are?
To do that would be to give away our strategy. We have a number of options. At the right time, we will decide which of the options we will pursue. All we're saying at this stage is that all options are open and will be utilized as seen fit in keeping with the tactics and strategies of the party that we developed.
A follow-up to his question. Sir, do you believe that that the vote as was tabulated in the House is accurate?
I don't know what you mean the vote is tabulated in the House.
Meaning that the PP won the no confidence
There are a
motion based
number
on it.
of legal arguments and precedent cases that are out there that are being looked at. For us as a party to arrive at a conclusion without it probably even getting to the court where the matter is looked at and the law is determined would be a bad thing for us to do. What we have seen out there is a number of legal opinions which can carry it in any direction. We cannot decide which direction it goes. We can say at this stage that we are disposed to looking at all options, and if checking the mathematical numbers in the law court is one, then so be it.
Do you personally support taking the matter to court?
I didn't hear that.
Do you personally support settling the matter in court?
I don't want to give my personal opinion on a matter that is national importance and party importance. My personal opinion, if you want it, we can meet somewhere else and get this. But here, what one has to do is to represent the People's National Congress reforms position, which we have discussed as a group and agreed to.
Have you heard that there are other MPs who might have possibly voted in favor of the motion at Mr. Charon last field?
Have I heard that?
Yes.
I've heard people say all kinds of things. That is one of them.
And so far, in terms of verifying them, has this been verified?
Again, why would I run down the road of telling you what we verify and what we didn't verify at this stage? Look, you're dealing with a political issue, and you're not dealing with political priests. And so one has to be very, very careful with the information that one gives. Any political party that just experience what just happened will be cautious and seek to check. But even in checking, sometimes there are difficulties.
Okay, another question, Patrice. Sir, in response to one of the questions earlier, you said that PNC has always been in campaign mode, but this may be intensified now. With this comment, how would you feel this against this scatter or the scramble you're having now to avoid going to the polls? And do you think that the party and the government, the coalition, not just PNC, is in a strong state of being right now in heading towards the polls?
Well, first of all, at no stage did we say we were scrambling and worried we're going to the polls.
You're trying to avoid it in
We-
looking
no,
at several cases.
If you provide me the evidence of us trying to avoid the poll, I will be willing to acknowledge it. But I don't know that we are. In fact, there are some people in the party who believe the poll is best to go to the poll and solve the problem. So I don't know how you arrive at your conclusion, but I don't see the logic. I want to say to you, the People's National Congress Reform is a national party with units across this country. And we are always ready. And that is why I said we could intensify it or accentuate it. But there is no case of us having to scramble or fighting at the last moment. We are a national party with party groups, district, region. We can activate our machinery. In fact, a lot of times it is not deactivated. That was one part of the question. It's two parts. What was the other one?
Your answer.
Have you accelerated or accentuated your readiness for elections?
Have we?
Has the party accelerated its readiness for elections?
You had a motion on Friday. You saw the results. The members of the People's National Congress Reform are calling and saying they are ready. We didn't have to activate it, but we will accentuate it at the right time. But the supporters of the People's National Congress, the supporters of the AP and UAFC are ready and willing. They do not intend to see a PPP Jack Deal government in power in a short while.
Mr. Norton, Mr. Jack Deal this afternoon said his party will not be returning to the National Assembly unless it is specific to deal with election issues and preparations for elections. How does your party respond to that? And him saying you should be in a caretaker mode right now and not trying to push any legislative agenda or any other agenda?
You know, Jack Deal has no moral right to talk about anything. They must remember they prorogued the parliament when a no confidence motion was coming against them. And whether he goes to parliament or not is his party decision. What we will do is analyze the situation and act as we see fit in the interests of our supporters and the people of Guyana.
Has the party decided on a replacement for Charan Das for slot? I understand that the pick will be coming from the APNU.
If the party is decided, my information is that they would have decided.
Mr. Bino it will be?
I can't answer
From
that.
Burmese?
I didn't say I would tell you, you know. I said I know that there is a choice. Whether it is Pino or the Good Lord, I can't say, but we will choose one.
Sir, has the party already petitioned the government to ensure that its police force is ready and in place in the wake of some of the concerns that citizens are already having for the season in the lead up to election?
I don't know if the party needs to petition anybody for that. They, as a normal course in national security, once an election is coming, the police will prepare and be ready to deal with what the situation is. The party has to initiate that. That should be part of the normal operational procedures of the Guyana police force when an election is coming.
You said earlier that you received information that other persons might be susceptible to taking bribes.
Never said that, but continue.
All right. How many other persons did you receive information on? You said you received a few persons.
And I never said that. I said information was circulating, and just like how you would have heard, I would have heard. But I didn't suggest that there's 1 or 2 or 3 or 4. I wouldn't do that. First of all, you must recognize it's a political party, and you don't want people to feel uneasy and feel people are suspicious of them.
You said a number of persons. I wrote that.
I said I heard a number of persons.
What is the figure like?
I don't know. A number could be from 1 to ad infinitum.
Is the government a victim of its own carefulness?
I didn't hear that.
Based on what you were saying, Mr. Norton, is the government a victim of being too careful?
If the government is being
a victim
of being too careful?
Yes.
But sometimes it is good to err on the side of caution.
Mr. Norton, can I ask, you spoke about the options, and Ms. Hastings, I don't know if you were in cabinet yesterday, but the options were discussed at that time. I know of 2 options at this point in time: go to elections or seek legal clarity. What other possible options could you be exploring?
Like I said, at the right time we'll declare the options of which one we opted for. For me to, if I get involved in a discussion with that, almost immediately the PPP can plan for us.
So you're talking about possible bribery and the involvement of nationals of another state, Trinidad and Tobago.
Yes, yes.
Is this corner shop talk, or do you have enough evidence that you can back up that talk? Or this is the guys about the corner?
You said before that there's evidence. People are even actually telling you the hotel they meet in. I won't go any further.
And these are business people from Trinidad. It might have been as well.
You seem knowledgeable. Keep telling me.
Trying to understand.
You think it's a business group from Trinidad?
I don't know.
The Minister of State has said that President Granger will return as a presidential candidate. Could you give some insight into who else will make up that slate?
But if the Minister of State says he will come, who else will? There's only one we can have.
Prime Ministerial?
No, it's too early to get involved in that kind of discussion.
Sir, another question from me. Is there...
You said from you?
From Kajari.
Okay.
Yes. Well, 2 Kajari. So
All right.
yeah. You said earlier that you don't want to speculate on names of other persons because it's a party and you don't want anyone to be feeling uneasy. But setting that aside, is there generally an unease in the party or against PNC, ANC about the betrayal? Are PNC persons gravely offended, particularly because this betrayal, or as the summer say, came from, yes?
I would say not at all. The AFC, and as far as I know, we have met, we have discussed, and we have agreed on one platform moving forward. In politics, you have to face reality. What happened would have happened. There's no sense in going accusing and doing anything. You now plan based on your vision and seek to strategize and then execute. That's in the phase we have to do.
Do you have any regrets of going forward with that?
I didn't hear that.
Do you have any regrets of going forward with that no confidence motion? Looking back?
Well, there can be no regrets. First of all, in a parliament, people are entitled to bring a motion. And they brought a motion, and the government did what was expected to be done. Unfortunately, we were dealing with a group that is steep in criminality, will use money to achieve whatever objective they want to achieve. And in this case, they have succeeded. Like I said, it's a time for us to take stock and to move on. The most important thing is our support base, and a lot of people who don't want to see the PPP and Jack Bill in power have been re-energized, and we will take it from there.
Mr. Norton, do you believe that if the legal opinion says that everything was done in accordance with the Constitution and so on, that the no confidence motion was basically good, that GCOM will be ready?
Well, I can't comment on GCOM readiness. That's a matter for GCOM.
Right, but it's a political party, stakeholder in the whole process.
Yes, but how could I sit here and know what GCOM state is and say they are ready or they are not ready? That would be ridiculous for me to do. Your question is best directed to GCOM.
You do have 3 commissioners on
I hear
GCOM. The party does have 3 commissioners on GCOM.
You having 3 commissioners on GCOM doesn't axiomatically make you know the state of preparedness. At the level of GCOM, there will be discussion of general policies. When it comes to the actual preparedness, the chief election officer and the bureaucratic staff will have to decide that, not political parties.
Has there been a meeting of the central? Has there been a meeting of the central committee since Friday? The central executive committee.
There hasn't been?
Has there been?
Yes, there has been.
Okay.
Mr. Norton, the success of this no confidence motion, how much blame would you rest on the sort of inactiveness of the PNC ministers in government? On any given day, you have members of the public complaining they can't reach them, they can't see them, they can't talk with them, they can't express their
We
concerns.
talk about taking stock, and we will take stock, but I don't want to share blame.
But do you share some of the concerns of the citizens?
As Guyanese who are politicians and have to respond to the realities of Guyana, we have to share their concerns. We not only share them, we take into consideration, we take them into consideration, and then we will act based on the consideration with the aim of re-strategizing to achieve our objectives.
Thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen of the media. We will invite you